If you're watching this, welcome to the channel. This is a very different video to what I normally do because this video is intended for one person and one person only, and that's the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Mr. Boris Johnson. Now, there's a very good chance that other people will see this video as well, and if you do, that's fantastic. And my goal is to try and get this video seen by Boris Johnson. So if you could share this video and try and put it in the hands of someone that could get it in front of the Prime Minister, that would be great. Mr. Prime Minister, my name is Craig Petty and I have been an entertainer since the age of 18 years old. I run two companies. I run a company called Slightly Unusual Limited and I run a company called Non-Stop Kids Entertainment Limited. And this video is intended for you and you only because I need to point something out to you that I think the government isn't aware of or is choosing to ignore. But it's very important that you understand something before I actually explain this to you. I need you to understand, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't wear a tinfoil hat. I don't believe in 99% of the conspiracy theories that I've heard. I vaccinate my children. I am not an anti-vaxxer. I also think that you have had an incredibly difficult job. I think that you and your cabinet, the government, everybody has had a very difficult job dealing with a pandemic, the like of which our country has never seen before, the world has never seen before. And my hat's off to you for how you've dealt with this in many different ways. However, I need you to understand that there's something that you're missing. Now, this video isn't going to be about me saying that the government are terrible and the government are doing things wrong. Yeah, I think there's things that you've mishandled. I think there's things that your cabinet has mishandled. I think there's decisions that you've made that are atrocious, but this video isn't about that. You see, you have to understand something. Within my business, I run the business. I'm the founder of the business. Myself and my wife run the company together. The buck stops with us. We have staff, we have entertainers, but the buck stops with us and us alone. We have to be held accountable for everything that happens within our business. And honestly, I think the same should be said of you. You might not have realised when you became Prime Minister that you would have to be dealing with COVID-19 and the coronavirus. You probably didn't realise that this is something that's going to happen, but you signed on to run this country and run it no matter what happened. The buck has to stop with you, which is why I'm addressing this video to you and you alone. I need to speak to you about the entertainment industry. I need to speak to you specifically about the part of the entertainment industry that you and the government seem to be completely missing. I'm not talking about big theatres. I'm not talking about massive performances. I'm talking about entertainers, self-employed entertainers that are running their businesses on a daily basis and are really struggling. Now, I have to say that, I have to acknowledge that you have done things. The furlough scheme is fantastic for companies like myself, where we've been very limited in what we can actually do. The furlough scheme has been fantastic. For entertainers that are self-employed and that run their own businesses, self-employed magicians and entertainers and kids entertainers, balloon modelers, mimes, all of these different people. What you've done to support the self-employed through this has been fantastic. However, we're at a point now where furlough will soon be ending. It's ending at the end of October. It's already been rapidly diminishing and it's going to end at the end of October. We're in a situation now where there are no more support grants for the self-employed. You have stood on television over and over again and said it is time for the British public to get back to work. You have said that people cannot remain on furlough indefinitely because they will lose their skill sets and they need to get back to work. And you know what? In many industries, I absolutely and completely agree with you. The trouble is, we have made it you and your government have made it very difficult for myself, other companies like the company I run, and other entertainers. You've made it very difficult for us to even perform. Now, let me explain something. I know that you have a burning desire to restart the economy. And I know that you've done things like help out to eat out. And, I can see the data, and the economy since you announced the recession has risen and has risen and has risen. And that's fantastic. But what entertainers do, it's a big part of that economy. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been to an event and seeing a magician, a close-up magician walking around doing close-up magic? The amount of events that you've been to, I'm sure you have. Have you ever been to a conference and you've seen a keynote speaker that did some magic on stage, or perhaps even an illusion act? Have you ever been to a party where there's children and there's been a kids entertainer? Have you ever walked down the street and seen a balloon modeler? These people are everywhere, literally from the John O'Groats to Land's End and all points in between. But Boris, it goes further than that. I'm also talking about other businesses that are tied into that. Magic shops that sell magic to magicians, that won't be able to sell magic to magicians if magicians can't perform. People that make clothing for performers, people that make settings for performers. And if you want to take it up a level, you've got people that work backstage behind the scenes, and people that edit trailers and show. There's so many different jobs that are linked to the entertainment industry. And again, when I talk about the entertainment industry, I don't talk about the big, massive theatres, because the grant that is being given to theatres to help them, that is going to make sure that theatre is sustained and able to continue to operate until such a time that it can open and all this has passed. I'm talking about the self-employed entertainers. Now, I did a little rant video on this channel a few weeks ago, which you can look up if you want to. And I said on that rant video that these entertainers that I'm speaking about, these self-employed entertainers, they are the first people that get called upon in times of need. When a charity is trying to raise money, they come to us. When people are trying to raise money for a good deed, they come to us. When people, it happens over and over again. And you know what? A lot of the time we say yes. We give ourselves freely to try and raise as much money as possible, because that's just what entertainers are all about. Because let me explain something about entertainment. Entertainment is a calling. It may be a profession, and many people operate it as a business, but it's a calling. If I wanted to be a millionaire, I wouldn't be an entertainer. I'd go into an industry where it'd be infinitely easier to be a millionaire. I am an entertainer. My fellow entertainers are entertainers. It's a calling, which is why we help as much as we do. But these entertainers, a lot of them, they live on a gig by gig basis. They have a quieter January, February, March, April, and then it busies up towards the end of the year. And Christmas is normally the month, December, end of November, is normally the month where most entertainers make 3 months worth of money to tide them over until it starts getting busy again. And the problem is that the country got locked down in March, and these entertainers saw gigs disappear off their calendar immediately. Not only disappear, but they had to give refunds back to people that had booked them. They're giving money back left, right and centre, money that they might have allocated to costumes and effects and routines to make their act better and be the best that they can be. And they're having to give that back and see their bank account dwindle and dwindle and dwindle. It happens over and over again. But you know what? You helped. Yes, you did. You did furlough. You did grants. You did everything that you could as a government. And like I said, my hat's off to you. But now we're in a situation where I'm seeing my fellow entertainers quit. And I'm going to tell you why they're quitting. And I'm going to tell you what I hope you can do about it. So let me explain. I have seen recently so many entertainers move away from entertaining. It's made me so sad. I've seen people like, I've got a very good friend of mine, and his name's Cy. And he's an amazing magician, singer, entertainer, all-around fantastic guy, one of the best entertainers I've ever seen. He's got a family. He can't perform. He can't entertain. He's now a postman. Another person I know, her name's Steph, fantastic entertainer, unbelievably talented person. She's now in marketing. These people are going away from what they love. Now, there are entertainers out there that are holding off and they're trying to keep going. And, their attitude is, oh, I'll get this little job to tide me over until things come back. But more and more people are quitting this industry on literally a week-by-week basis. And the reason is, and let me explain why this is. I could give you 1,000 names if I wanted to, but I'm not going to. I'm going to explain why it happened. It's happening because The government is making it so difficult for us to perform. Because obviously the country got locked down, then it got opened up a little bit. Lockdown restrictions eased. You told everybody to get back to work. Go back to work if you can. Go and eat out. We're going to get the economy up and running again. You need to go out. And that was the right thing to do. And so people did go out. They helped out. They ate out. They did all of this stuff. And entertainers, they started doing garden parties. They started getting booked at different events again. And you could feel that things were getting back to normal. And I saw in the different Facebook groups and the different discussion groups around the UK and around the internet, I saw these people for the first time in months since lockdown in their house. They were going out doing what they loved to do, and they were so happy about it, and they were finally being able to make money, because we are not looking for a handout, Mr. Johnson. We are looking to be able to perform, and everything was going up and up and up and up and up. And then what happened is you made the announcements that as of the 14th of September, people can't gather more than 6, the rule of 6. I don't need to tell you what your rule is. You created it yourself. And that has effectively cut the legs off from every single entertainer around the UK. Nobody wants to book an entertainer for 5 people. Nobody wants to book an entertainer for 5 people. There is literally nowhere that we can perform unless we do virtual parties. And I've got to be honest with you, Mr. Johnson, it's a very difficult skill set to be able to do virtual parties. A lot of entertainers don't want to do it or can't do it. And that doesn't mean they're not a great entertainer. It just means that they would prefer to perform in front of a live audience, and there's nothing wrong with that. But short of pivoting and doing that and being a virtual entertainer, they literally have nowhere to turn, nowhere to go. They cannot perform. There are industries out there that are opening up, and you see it everywhere you go. The industries are opening up and things are getting better. And we have felt things getting better, and then we have immediately been squashed back down to zero, to a point where nobody, Mr. Johnson, can perform anymore. And it is not a great situation. Now, I'm not here to give you hearsay. I'm not here to say, well, my friend Bob was a children's entertainer and now he's had to quit. My friend Dave was a kids entertainer and he's had to... I'm not here to tell you that. I'm going to tell you about my story, because my story is exactly the same as a million others. I have tried my hardest. I was a redcoat at Butlins when I was 18. And I've performed my entire life. My entire life I've been a performer. I started off performing part-time, semi-professionally, and I've done whatever I could do to make a living for myself in entertainment. I remember spending 2 years working on market stalls in Birmingham Rag Market and West Brom High Street and places like that, selling little magic tricks so I could tide myself over financially, so I could go and try and get gigs and make a name for myself and go out and get bookings. And I'll tell you right now, I'm not the most successful magician in the world. I'm not a superstar. You're not going to recognize me off TV or anything like that. But what I have done, Mr. Johnson, is I have worked bloody hard to get to where I am right now. So I run 2 companies, like I said to you at the beginning. I run Non-Stop Kids Entertainment Limited, and I run Slightly Unusual Limited. Slightly Unusual is an entertainment company for magicians, and Non-Stop Kids Entertainment, as you can imagine, is an entertainment agency for children's entertainers. Now, I remember seeing an interview with you. It was a question time. I think it was on the day that you made the announcement, and somebody actually rang up and said, I can't go back to work. Would the furlough scheme be extended? And I remember you saying that viable businesses will be looked after. Well, let me tell you something about my businesses. I'm here in my office. There's nobody else in here. It's just me, but I'm here in my office. My 2 companies between them turn over £1 million plus every single year. Every single year, Mr. Johnson, I pay hundreds of thousands of pounds in VAT, tax, corporation tax. I pay everything that you ask me to pay. I am, by any definition that you choose to accept, a viable business. There are other businesses out there that are viable businesses. There are other companies like mine. There are companies bigger than mine that deal in entertainment that are in the same situation. There are kids entertainers out there that we are all viable businesses. If we weren't viable businesses, we wouldn't be trading. We are a viable business. I employ 8 members of staff, and I have done for a very long time. I am giving people jobs. I give literally hundreds of entertainers work every single day. every single day, day in, day out. And when lockdown happened, you know what I did? I did everything that I should do. My family did everything that you asked of us. I went out and I clapped the NHS. When we didn't go out unless we were absolutely supposed to. We planned one shopping trip a week to go and get shopping. We shopped for our family, my kids, my wife. We shopped for a family for a whole week. I stayed with the kids. She went out and did it. When she came home, she stripped her clothes off. She got changed. She had a shower. She put everything straight away into a separate basket. She then wiped down absolutely everything. Every single thing that you've asked us to do personally to protect this country, we have done. Not only that, but from a business point of view, we didn't sit there moaning. We didn't sit there crying and complaining. We did what we had to do as a business. We pivoted our business. We started doing virtual parties. In fact, we actually started doing virtual parties for the NHS because I thought it's not enough to clap for the NHS. I'd like to do actually something to support them. So I actually linked up with play specialists around the UK and delivered virtual entertainment for children around the UK in palliative care, because that's something that I could do that made me feel good, because my mom was in the NHS. It made me feel good. It's something that I could do. And it was something that I did. And we as a family and myself as a business, we did everything they were asked to do. And then when lockdown restrictions were eased, we started looking at the government guidelines and planning garden parties and organising garden parties like a lot of entertainers did. And we made sure that we were completely compliant and operated within government guidelines at all times, the entire way through. And as a family, my family, we did everything we were told. If we were told we could only exercise once a day, that's what we did. If we were told we could exercise twice a day, that's what we did. You can go back through my Facebook page. You won't find a negative comment about any of this, because I did what I was meant to do as a citizen of the United Kingdom. And I have continued to do it right now, up until this point. We then carried on with virtual parties. We carried on doing garden parties. When you announced that you wanted to kickstart the economy and you wanted to start helping everyone out to eat out, we did that as well. We went out. We went out and we ate out. We supported our local businesses. We tried to kickstart the hospitality economy because I know what it's like being a small to medium business. We did everything that we could within our power to support you and the decisions that you've made. And now we get to this point right now. I am filming this on Friday. On Monday, I am being told that unless I do virtual entertainment, which is not it doesn't matter how many virtual parties I do, it's not enough. You can't charge as much from a cash flow point of view. I don't need to talk to you about business. It is not enough to sustain the business long term. Okay, it's just not. Even if I go and do all of them myself, it's not enough to sustain a business long term if I'm just doing virtual parties. And I'm being told that as of Monday, you're basically making it illegal for me and my business and all of my fellow entertainers to trade. But not only that, in one hand, you're saying that we can't trade, but then in the other hand, not only are you saying we can't trade, you're saying, but the furlough scheme is ending because we don't want people to lose their skill set. You're saying that the self-employed grant scheme is ending. You're saying, in one hand, no, you cannot go and operate legally as a business. But then in the next hand, you're saying, but we're not going to help you anymore either because it's time for you to help yourself. I have helped and supported the government the entire way through this. And I know that all of my fellow entertainers have done the same. And yet everything, you make announcements all of the time. And no announcements have ever been made about our industry. Yeah, like I said, you make announcements about performing arts and theatres. I have never seen the words children's entertainers written down in any government guidelines ever. I've never seen magicians or anything like that, or entertainers that entertain at small to medium-sized events. I have never seen you write anything about us at all. I remember when you opened up the economy a bit on the 15th of August, and you said it was meant to be the 1st of August and it became the 15th, and you said, we're opening up the economy, we're opening up everything, tattoo parlours are opening up, this is opening up, that is opening up, the only thing we've got left to open up, soft play is opening up. The only thing we've got left to open up now is nightclubs, and that's it. Well, no, Mr. Johnson, nightclubs and now entertainers. Because entertainers can no longer do what we were born to do. Our businesses will fail over the next few months because it's a very simple formula. When you run a business, you have turnover, operating expenses, profit. And then generally you put the profit back into the business, right? You know this. I don't need to tell you this. So what happens when you have no profit, well, no turnover, because nobody's booking you? What happens when you have no turnover, but your expenses are still there? I can't turn around to my landlord and say I can't pay him. My office is empty. But you know what? If you looked around this, there's signs everywhere, because a week ago, we thought, right, things are going great. Let's get back everyone into the office. We've got signs everywhere. We spent £300 on PPE for our staff. We spent money on signs for our staff. We spent money on one-way systems to do what you asked us to do in the workplace, to make it legally compliant and COVID safe. We have got stuff everywhere. I've got automatic hand sanitizers everywhere. I've got a little temperature thing that we put to people's foreheads when they come in the office. I've got everything here because that's what you asked us to do. And I have continued to do it over and over again. And now I'm in a situation where I'm surrounded by all this PPE. I'm surrounded by all these signs. I'm surrounded by stuff that I don't need because I can't get my staff into the office anymore, because there is no way that I can create much turnover right now because I can't perform. So my question to you, now you understand the problem, is twofold. One, will you please stop ignoring children's entertainers, magicians, all of these dancers, singers, comedians, whoever they are, not the people on stage, but the people that go out and are jobbing entertainers. And they might be in Scotland one night, and then the next night they might be in Birmingham, then the next night they might be in Wales. The people in this country who put smiles on people's faces, the people in this country that make events magical, the people in this country that go to kids' birthday parties and make their parties super special. And by the way, in your latest government guidelines, you say that people can only congregate if it's an important life event, like a funeral or a wedding. Mr. Johnson, you've got children. To a 5-year-old? Do you think that a 5-year-old's birthday is an important life event for them? Because I've got a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old, and I'd say it's an important life event. I'd say it's a very important life event. These kids are going to school, but they're socially distanced at school. It's not the school environment that you went to. It's not the school environment that I went to for kids to grow up and be normal, which is what you've expressed over and over again that you need to happen. Then they need to have physical contact outside of the school. They need to develop friendships and relationships outside of school. And a big part of that is the parties that they go to. Ask any parent, you get invited to a party every single weekend. Well, that's not happening anymore. But you know what? Just like I've followed your advice every single step of the way, I will continue to follow this advice right now, because I have two options. I either go out and operate my business and do so illegally and probably end up getting risk shut down and massive fines, or I sit here and hope that you change your mind about this latest rule. You're not giving anyone any time frames. I listened very carefully, and I was told it will be as long as it's going to be. It's going to be a block of time. It's going to be longer than a few weeks. I can't work with that. I need to know what's going on. And I know you don't know what's going on either. And again, I know that you've got a very difficult job. But guess what? There's entertainers around the UK that have a very difficult job as well. And we're trying to do it to the best of our ability. And being constantly ignored by you, Mr. Johnson, and being constantly ignored by your cabinet and the government is not helping our welfare, our well-being, our mental state, or our bank balances. So I ask you very, very simply not to ignore children's entertainers, magicians, entertainers. Don't ignore these people anymore. And if you think that it is not safe for us to do our jobs, if you and your government think it is not safe for us to do what we do best, and therefore we cannot run our business effectively, then that's fine. I will continue to do what I have done since March, which is follow the advice that the government has laid down. However, you will need to support us. You need to support this industry. You need to continue to extend furlough. for this industry and other industries that can't return back to work because they're the same as the entertainment industry. You need to continue to help the self-employed entertainer that cannot go out and work because their money is dwindling. And it's a shame for somebody who's spent their entire life running a business as an entertainer, and then they have to either... I've got a friend, he's done 50 interviews looking for a job to tide him over. He can't find one. It's not right, Mr. Johnson. It's not right. If you say it's unsafe for us to run our businesses, then I at least want you to acknowledge how important it is what we do. Because entertainment is the lifeblood of this country. Entertainment is the thing that puts smiles on people's faces. And what we do is important now more than ever. And I ask you, like I said, if you don't think that this is a viable business to run right now, accept that it will be at some time, and entertainment is important, and we will be back, and we will be bigger and better than ever before. And until that point, you need to continue to support these industries. You said you will continue to support viable businesses. I have a viable business, Prime Minister. My friends, my colleagues, they have a viable business. You want to see my profit and loss accounts sheet? You want to see my balance sheet? You want to see my figures? Go right ahead. You've got access to them. Look them up. Look at how much corporation tax I've spent. Look at how much money I've spent. Look at how much money I've paid the government, dutifully, without question. Now look at the same for every single self-employed entertainer out there. Look at all the other big entertainment agencies out there. They all do what they're told to do and pay the money that you ask us to pay. We are an important part of the economy. And if you are telling me right now that we cannot return to work, then you need to financially make sure that we are secure. We, as viable businesses within this economy, need to be looked after. And we don't want that. We don't want to hand out. What we want is to go out and perform. But we cannot perform. We cannot do because you've made it illegal. So either allow us to perform and do our jobs or support us accordingly. But I do not think that you should ignore us anymore. I do not think that you should cause stress, undue worry to thousands of people around the country anymore. You don't see how it's affecting these people. It's affecting them very, very badly. And I'm sure we're just one little thing that you need to think about in the grander scheme of things. But trust me, when it's all said and done, and when all the smoke settles and all the dust has cleared, and coronavirus is dealt with one way or another, and you said yourself that at some point it's going to be over. When it is, you are going to need us. And if we're not there, that will be a crying shame for the whole country. As an industry, we need your help. And I'm asking you, Prime Minister, to help not just me, but every single entertainer in the United Kingdom. I really hope that you see this message. I really hope that you listen to the words that I've had to say. I have defended the government over and over again. Like I say, you won't find a negative thing that I've said online, other than a week ago when I got really frustrated. Other than that, I have said nothing negative about the government at all, and I've done everything that I've been told to do. And a lot of my entertainer friends, they are exactly the same. So, Mr. Johnson, I leave you with one question. What will you do to support us as an industry? I need an answer. Other entertainers need an answer. We will not be ignored any longer.